Yo guys, Jonathan here. Not only are we fresh off the announcement of the brand new iPhone 10, but also the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus as well. I got a chance to go hands-on and extensively cover the iPhone 10, so if you missed that video, I will drop a link down below. But today, I want to focus on both the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, and hopefully make it a little easier for anyone who's potentially on the fence about buying one of those phones, or even waiting for the iPhone 10. Now, hands down, the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus naming scheme was purely a marketing move. They very easily could have and probably should have named these the iPhone 7s and 7s Plus, but honestly, I can't really hate on them for that because business-wise, it was a super smart move. Everybody up until the point where essentially everything got leaked would have assumed that the iPhone 8 was Apple's giant big flagship release this year, but as we've seen, that is clearly the iPhone 10, and because these phones are more than a month apart in release, I think it's safe to say it's going to be a pretty big end of the year for Apple. Now, one thing different with the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus is the iPhone 6, the 6S, and 7 all shared aluminum bodies, whereas with the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, those feature an all-glass back, which not only changes up the look and the feel, but also introduces wireless charging. So for anyone out there who thought that maybe wireless charging was exclusive to the iPhone 10, nope, you get that across the 8 and the 8 Plus as well. And as you start to see throughout this video, these three phones share more features than you might think. Now, as far as the colors go, gone is rose gold. So no longer we have to argue about whether it's pink or rose gold. We are now simply left with silver, gold, and space gray. Honestly, after seeing these in person, I think I'm gonna have to say gold is my favorite. It just looks the nicest by far. And surprisingly, I'm gonna say that silver is my runner-up, and that space gray out of these three was my least favorite. Now, as far as the displays go, there definitely are some improvements, nothing drastic though. The iPhone 8 is still rocking a 4.7-inch display with the same resolution, whereas the iPhone 8 Plus is rocking a 5.5-inch display with the same resolution as well. Upgrades that both these phones share are improved stereo speakers. Surprisingly, both the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus share the exact same A11 Bionic chip found in the iPhone 10, so maybe you're not ready to give up that home button, or the iPhone 10 really isn't doing it for you. It's nice to know that you're not gonna have to sacrifice performance. So if you missed my iPhone 10 video, crazy name aside, that A11 chip is supposed to be stupid fast. I think there were some preliminary benchmarks that leaked showing that it was just as fast as a 13-inch MacBook Pro, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. I, for one, am super excited to get this in-house, check it out, test it out for myself. And if there's anything as far as performance goes that you guys want to see, let me know with a comment down below. Now, as far as the cameras go, the iPhone 8 is rocking a single 12-megapixel shooter. It is supposed to be an improved sensor with what Apple is calling deeper pixels. Not sure exactly what that means, but it's supposed to translate to more accurate colors. And that, of course, we'll have to see once I get one in-house. Now, as far as the iPhone 8 Plus, that again is rocking a dual lens configuration like we saw on the 7 Plus, but if you're curious what's different between the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone 10, obviously one, we have a vertical configuration in the iPhone 10, but the biggest difference between the two is the iPhone 10 actually has OIS on both the lenses, where the iPhone 8 Plus only has OIS on the single main shooter. Just like the iPhone 10 though, there are of course improvements to portrait mode on the iPhone 8 Plus as well, and on top of that, what Apple is calling portrait lighting, which essentially gives you the ability to manipulate different lighting elements and environments, either pre or post photo. What's kind of cool too, on top of that, beyond the ability to tweak things in post, you could just shoot a regular portrait mode photo without any portrait lighting effects and still decide to add it in later. Now from there, hands down, one of the biggest upgrades to come to the iPhone 8, the 8 Plus, and the 10, this is one feature that all three of these phones share, is video. These phones all shoot at 4K 60 frames per second. And what might be a little crazier for me is 240 FPS slow motion at 1080p. GoPros don't shoot 4K 60, none of the Canons shoot 4K 60. I think the GH5 will get you 4K 60 FPS, but that is nearly $2,000. So hopefully that should put things into perspective. So from there, for anyone who's kind of on the fence between the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus or the iPhone 10, I think one of the biggest questions is, are you ready to give up that home button? Both the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus still have that comfortable, familiar Touch ID home button, where the iPhone 10 obviously does not. Essentially, you're almost kind of guinea pigging a first generation product with the iPhone 10, because do you trust Face Unlock? Is it going to be good enough? We've already seen some controversy, so that is something you definitely have to ask yourself. For me, what draws me most towards the iPhone 10 is you're essentially getting all of the Plus features in a smaller form factor. You're getting a bigger screen, you're getting dual cameras with OIS on both lenses, so for me, that's kind of almost the way to go. I will say though, if I had to guess between these three phones, I would think the iPhone 8 Plus would still have the best battery life out of the three, followed by the iPhone 10, and then of course, lastly, the iPhone 8. Ultimately, features aside though, it comes down to pricing. Do you want to pony up the cash for the iPhone 10? The iPhone 8 starts at $699, the iPhone 8 Plus starts at $799, and then we of course have the iPhone 10, which starts all the way up at $999. So for those watching right now, there's a good chance you may have just pre-ordered an iPhone 8 or 8 Plus, or you could be holding out for the iPhone 10. Let me know what you went with and why. I would love to hear what you think. Aside from that, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if it helped, make sure you guys drop a like down below. This is Jonathan, and I'll catch you guys later.